Welcome back, welcome back. Now, many times I stress on these videos to my brothers and sisters and other people that white people have studied us before they came over here. Then they came over here and was cool. They did the old, yeah, we're just looking around. What, wow. And they studied us more, learned our cultures, learned our, and then they did what they did and studied us even more when they were under their power. Then they studied us more after they freed it, and they studied and they studied. Do you understand they study us more than they study themselves? Oh, you don't believe me?
Who are you killing? And how are you being trained to kill them? Right? Who are you killing? And how are you being trained to kill them? Right? All right. Now, if we're sophisticated, we might not say those things, but I'll get us to. So what do we say? We say stuff like, I work in a very diverse environment. I have people of color in my family. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, have any of you, this one's popular in Seattle, I live in the most diverse zip code in the United States, 98118, which is, by the way, is Columbia City and is no longer the most diverse zip code in Seattle. But let's start with those first two. How many of you, in a conversation with a white person about racism, have heard some version of, I know people of color, I have people of color in my family? Okay, right. So, when a white person...
It's the only answer they know how to give. Some of them.
Person tells you that, they're giving you evidence, right? They're giving you their evidence for what? In their mind, what are they giving you their evidence of?
That they're not
that
racist.
They're not racist, right? So if that is my evidence, how do I define racism? So this is actually this has been really useful for me to kind of go under the surface and think, okay, so then, and then if I can figure out how they're defining racism, then I can speak to it, okay?
What did Malcolm X say? You have to learn their language and then speak their language to them. They don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. You think they're so this and they're all that. The thing, the pumbling we got to not know who we are and be bludgeoned into stupidity, and here drinking's your culture and drugs is your culture. They got that before they came over here. That's how they got free from that, to do it to someone else. You do realize they're not, they're all their warriors are not super fucking Spartan soldier, fucking Captain Americas. No, they were fucking vagabonds and regular people that got destroyed in the old world. All their little clans and beliefs and all that, they got destroyed. And they said, now you're white.
So I would say they're defining racism as conscious dislike. A racist doesn't like people of color, therefore they, I guess, couldn't work 3 cubicles down from somebody. Or if they have a person of color in their family, and clearly they have love for this person, they also couldn't possibly be racist. So they're defining it as conscious dislike, and they're not understanding the power of implicit bias. I've ever had somebody say, I used to live in New York, and that's why I'm not racist. I've actually heard all of these things, right? So I guess a racist couldn't walk by people of color without losing their shit, basically. And see, I can walk by them, and they're...
The thing is, they say these things because they're not fully blown racist. They're scared into racism, or they get favors for being a racist. They go along to get along. The thing is, they see motherfuckers that are truly bitter in it. They gotta make a nigga joke and talk all this fucking shit. They watch their bosses and they watch the fucking other people rob the shit out of us. and do all these things and brag and laugh like, yeah, I fucking was beating this nigga's head in, and they're like, yeah, and then they go home and cry to their fucking children like, oh my god, I can't believe, I gotta get you the fuck out of here. Cause I gotta pretend this shit, and if I don't fucking get you out of here in time, if I don't teach you the right way, I see Margaret's kids and they're falling for this shit. They're fucking participating in this shit.
You know, they're around me. I work here, right? Therefore, I couldn't possibly. Let me ask you. How many of you are in a cisgender? Do you know what I mean when I say cisgender? Okay, if you don't, I'll let your professors help you with that. Not transgender. Okay, so you're in an opposite sex relationship. How many of you are in an opposite sex relationship? All right.
Why isn't it called a normal relationship? The thing that starts all relationships. You can't be anything else without straight people having babies. You can't do anything until Adam and Eve did the straight thing. There was no, but you get it. It's like, come on, stop. It's ridiculous.
So for the women in the room, you're with a man, right? You got a man in your life, and the moment he fell in love with you, all his sexism disappeared, right? No? How could he have any sexism? He loves you. There's no gender dynamics in the relationship. Okay, so we see the ludicrousness of that, but we think that racism disappears. There's no racial dynamics between people if they're in an intimate relationship. All right. I used to live in New York.
I hope some of you people that are like, just having your fetish milkshakes and shit, you gotta really like make sure the person, and it goes both ways, cause see the racist black guy that really is racist and wants to dominate a black woman to feel good about himself to, get one from a black man and and then secretly do little racist shit to her. You don't really win all the time because some of them are looking at you as like, I'm gonna feed into his delusion and I'm gonna destroy him and take what I can, live the way I want, do all these things, and I'm gonna go have long dick Harry on the side, Jamal, blow my back out, and you're gonna kiss him. I'm gonna kiss you after I take his children and put them in my stomach. I'm gonna kiss you right on the mouth.
My children are so much open. The problem with this one is we like to romanticize children, but by age 3 or 4, all children know the racial order. This is well researched. They know.
Oh, it's well researched that children know we're racist and they know you're fucking haters and they pick a side. By 3 or 4. Stop acting like fucking children are dummies.
Know the racial order. What's the racial order? It's better to be white. They know that. And if you are a parent of color, you got to work very hard to instill worth and pride in them in the face of that relentless message.
Nothing you do will ever overshadow it. Why? Because you got to work twice as hard just to get a job. They just get jobs. Well, it used to be like that. Things are changing. And all the countless inventions we got robbed for. We build all these fucking industries we don't even own. We don't get our masters. We don't get the fucking buying stocks in the thing. But everybody else can. It's a joke. It's like, how much more can we... Like I played the Vegeta skit with the racist, the 12 Years a Slave skit together to show you guys, like, we're like your best friends and your worst enemies at the same time. Without us, America would not be what it is. You wouldn't be sitting in your fucking house enjoying all these things. You wouldn't be listening to me. You wouldn't be listening to fucking... We made microphones so you people could speak to each other. Help with the internet. Help with fucking so many things that make us all of these super duper lives that we all, complain about and act like we're not living better than fucking kings from fucking centuries ago. We control the weather in our house, for crying out loud, because of a black man. You get it? There's so many things we've done, and we're over here like, yo, bro, y'all still can't see what y'all be doing? Y'all can't apologize and like stop acting with the shenanigans. You can't just give me the fair treatment like you was letting everybody else. We get it. You did that back in the day to keep our grandfathers from, getting the Monopoly game and rising up. Alright, you already crippled the fucking Black Wall Street Monopoly game. Can we rebuild and you have all these things now? Cities and there. We can't pass shoes up no more. There's no way to pass shoes in money. Remember? You print it.
Okay. We don't like how white our neighborhood is, but we had to move here for the schools. This is actually, I think, another really disingenuous. I think white people do like how white their neighborhoods are.
They should.
Okay. So we have to go under the surface and figure out what is propping this up.
That's the one thing I agree with the white man on. Separation. See, they kind of get that whole separate thing. We want to be near you, but just not right next to you. Like, that's like what the Lord said. You can be on the same place, but you go over there, they go over there. You can't charge them for crimes. They can't charge you for crimes. You stay on your side, they stay on their side, and everybody's going to find out who's really living better. Because we're not going to do what you think we're going to do and try to compete. And no, we see the way yous are going is really not good. We don't want to build concrete roads. We want to blend the future and the past together and just survive what the Earth's about to do to everybody. Because, it's really, it's not looking good for everybody.
Want to address it?
Skip. And I want old white people that may or hear this, I grew up around a very cultural town. Some of my best friends were white. I grew up living around Jews in the household where one of you said, "You're like my son." So shut the fuck up with the racism, or I don't understand. I've watched Jews from the inside, middle class, and the man that they were married to, her brother, he was like kind of like an important person in that town. So he was a millionaire secretly. And I didn't know from that long till he got older. Didn't realize I'm around a fucking Super Bowl my whole life. I always wondered why he could do whatever he wanted. But he hit it well. He went to work every day. He wore regular clothes. His name wasn't all around town slam dancing bitches and do. Nah, he was one of those old school real dudes. You wouldn't even know if he had money unless he showed you. Now, so you can skip me with the I don't know you guys. I grew up around Jews. I've had, like users say, I had Jews for friends. We can say that too. I can say that too. And they were good friends. Learned a lot, taught a lot. We didn't stay friends, but I'm sure if I see them, they're not gonna like, you fucking nigger, I hate your guts. They'll probably, I don't like you or something, or I don't, where you been at, or, but it ain't gonna be hate, you know what I mean? So, you can skip me with that shit. And like I said, I've figured this shit out, this is a white woman. I've watched many of your own scientists, discuss to you this, I believe she's talking to a black audience, probably a little mixed, because there's always a couple of white ladies that hear these things, so they go. And she's talking of studies, and this is not something new. It's new to the middle class and the poors. It's called a lack of knowledge. They're trying to catch yous up with the change of reality and be like, yo, that racist shit was bullshit. We made it up. It's stupid. We need these niggers now. And, stop doing dumb shit. Because they're getting smart and they'll literally just videotape you and have you locked up. You're not going to be able to keep doing the things you're doing. They're getting smarter. They're using the law against us. You're hating on people that actually have no beef with you. They've forgiven you a long time ago.
Look at me and think about it for just a minute, and part of what it means to be white is that goes against all my conditioning and all my socialization, because I was taught that I really didn't have a race. I was just the universal human. Race is what they had, and certainly I was taught not to be drawing people's attention to it. So how did I come to be standing in front of groups of people saying, look at me, I'm white, and that has meaning? Well, for me it started when I got a job as a diversity trainer in the early 90s. I was going to go into the workplace in interracial teams and lead discussions on race and racism. And when I applied for that job, I sincerely thought that my qualifications were that I shopped at PCC, I'm a vegetarian, I went to Evergreen, and I drive a Prius.
Wow.
Okay, so we didn't actually have Priuses in the 90s, but I hope you get my point. I really thought that what this was about was open-mindedness, and that since I was clearly open-minded, I was good to go, and I was qualified, and it was just about getting other people to be open-minded. And I was in for the most profound learning of my entire life on every level. And one is to realize in no way was I qualified to be leading conversations on arguably the most emotionally and politically charged issue since the founding of our country, right? And this is also part of what it means to be white, is that I could get to that point in my life with no really good information and understanding of racism.
You know how long we've been studying yous now? We study yous a lot. That's why many of my brothers don't just get mad anymore and blah 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 blah. We bring scientifical things and documents and all these things to be like, yo, bro, yous are wailing. Like, you're literally the old way of like saying things and doing things. It literally, people have matured to where yous are boxing yourselves into the very categories you box everybody else. You're animals that you know, the law, and you just keep, you know, keep getting caught breaking the law in all these ways, and you know, it's kind of stupid.
And still see myself as kind of done with my learning and able to lead other people. And I'm sure some of you have seen that dynamic in other white folks. So I spent a good 5 years for a living going into primarily white workplaces and trying to have these conversations. And aside from not really being qualified to do it, I also was unprepared for the depth of hostility, incredible hostility in primarily all white spaces, employed white people who were just really angry about having the conversation at all. And so over the years, I just got better and better at...
Why would you be mad of a white person just bringing these things up to you? It's like, yo, you're racist. And then, you know, no, we're not. And then she's like sitting there trying to gently just not do it like me and say, what are you talking about? We programmed you to be fucking racist. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Can you pick a fucking history book up and see your grandfather fucking savagely doing savagery? And you're telling me you do realize this was words being told, things being said. It wasn't just your people we're wow. No, they were told things like people are not humans and they're fucking savages. And we're going over there in the name of Christ.
Figuring out what it means to be white in a society that professes that it means nothing.
Instead of worrying about us and stuff, you need to worry about using the Lord's name for all these things. That's what you need to worry about, because we are the least of anyone's problems. We're nothing. We're just people. We're a handful of ragtag fucking, you know? We can't do nothing.
And yet it's profoundly separate and unequal by race, right? And so I wanted to kind of apply that experience to impact people on a larger level. And I went on and got
Skip.
question that. But it looks like this. So when I just left a position as a professor of education. So I was in a college of education that was 98% white. So 98% white school producing our future teachers. We were located 10 miles from a city that was 57% black and Latino, Springfield, Mass. And I would, at the first day of class, have my students take out a piece of paper and write an anonymous essay based on a couple key questions. But before I mention that, I would just say, hi, I'm your professor, and then immediately have them take the paper out. And the reason is I was trying to minimize my influence on them, right, beyond the reality of my body. So I want to take a moment to say that the way you hear me today will be influenced by the fact that I'm in this body, whether you're aware of it or not. Overall, white people can hear this message from me much better than they can from people of color. And I want to...
I hope you're watching, Danny. Remember, I said I meant you for that reason. You started following the ways of the Lord, and it actually worked in all of these things because I believe He chose you to join me so you can show your people and I can show my people, because your people are not going to listen to me, dog. They're not. What did I tell you? Each one of you that come to the truth, yous have to tell your people, because your people won't believe us. They'll just think we're hating or gloating, or this nigger's making shit up, or here we go with the fucking victim mentality. That's the new one that keep you believing you're not fucking you didn't do anything. You got a victim mentality. Oh god, here we go with this shit.
Acknowledge that the vast majority of what I have come to understand about how racism works has come from people of color who've been saying what I'm saying for decades, but can't be heard. And so that's what I call the master's tools dilemma. Audre Lorde was a poet, African-American poet, and an activist educator, and she had this phrase, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And what she meant is, how do you challenge a system using the tools within the system? So that's a dilemma for me too. As I stand up here as the authority, to a degree, right, on whiteness, I am necessarily reinforcing the centrality of the white voice and the white perspective. And trust me, I go home at night and toss and turn over that dilemma. At the same time, because I can be heard, I'm going to use my voice. And when I feel like giving up, I say...
And that's the difference between someone that changed their brain from being what they were told, sound the horns, to learning things and be like, yeah, I think this is all right. I'm gonna stand on the truth, and I'm gonna say things because I know these black people can't. They can say whatever they want. One, no one's gonna believe them. Two, even if they hear them, they're still not gonna understand what they're saying because they speak different languages, and some are, they're ghetto talking, or they're just... People don't realize emotion goes into language. So if your emotion's not where my emotion is, or you can't understand my emotion, we're not speaking the same language.
Perfect. You'll really be white then. Don't talk about race. And that will perfectly protect your position. So I just want to acknowledge that kind of both and nature of this work, that simultaneously we're reinforcing racism as we seek to challenge it. Okay? And I also want to acknowledge all those incredibly patient and brilliant mentors of color that didn't give up on me. So that I am kind of at the place that I am today. So what do my students' essays look like? I asked them 3 questions. How racially diverse were your neighborhoods and schools? What messages have you gotten across your lifespan about race?
My school had everybody in it. That's why I can't be racist, because I grew up learning about everyone's cultures and seeing the similarities and literally pondering my mind. How the fuck are all these adults really fighting with each other? Do you mean this history shit is real? These people are fucking each other up and they can't see the similarity things and they can't see that, like, what's going on? There has to be a trick or something that's going on. I don't understand it.
And what are some of the ways your race has shaped your life, right? So keep in mind, 98% white classes. I rarely actually ever had a student of color, and we're 10 miles from a city that's 57% black and Latino. And what I'm going to show you is representative of the...
See, the ones that may be hearing this right now, you're around us. You're she's talking about the upper class whites. Not even just the middle, cause middle class are around us. So if she's talking about 5 miles away from people, we know where she's talking about anywhere where even white people know. That's not their neighborhood. That's the upper ones. That's so. You get it? She's talking about the people that are going to be the managers, the bosses, the ones that are going to rule over the middle class. And then the middle class follows them because that's where they want to be. They want to get up there.
The hundreds of these essays in breadth, in depth. My neighborhood growing up was not racially diverse at all. Every family in my neighborhood was also Caucasian. Throughout my time in school, I've been continually taught that skin does not matter. Right? These are juniors and seniors in college who are going forth to be teachers, and this is the extent of what they can be bothered to write.
I wonder why skin doesn't matter. I wonder if it has to. Why do you think they reinforce that into your head? For a good reason? Right? It doesn't matter. Every time I hear a white person use that shit, it's to cover up a fact of a black person saying, we did that. That's about us. And then you'll say, skin color don't matter. You don't believe me? Go read Revelations of Jesus Christ, chapter 1 and 14. And when you see what it says, you're going to say, wait, that skin doesn't matter.
About the most profound and perennial, I think, issue since the founding of our country. Okay? And I'm hoping that you recognize some of this. If you're white, you might recognize it in your...
If you're not white and you've been triggered by the Revelations line and you say, skin doesn't matter, that doesn't prove he black people, you're under the hypnosis too.
If you're a person of color or white and try to talk to other people, you recognize this narrative.
I can feel your ignorance. If it doesn't matter, why did the Christ say, be careful, many are gonna come in my name and pretend to be me? It don't matter, right? We're not supposed to know what he looks like or nothing, just in case people pretend to be him, right? It don't matter. Yeah, sure. Yeshua.
Be a little more bald, but it is the way we do race today, right? And I see a major contradiction in these 3 sentences. Do you guys see that contradiction? How can we be taught that race has no meaning in segregation? Right? I think that's the contradiction. And yet, I've never met anyone without an opinion on race and racism. Have you?
Nope.
If you're not sure, bring it up at your next family dinner. And then go beyond the first round of meaningless platitudes. Go to the next round, ask just one more follow-up question and watch what happens. And if you're hesitant to do that because you don't want to ruin the dinner, that should tell you. We got a lot of feelings about this thing that has no meaning, right?
Don't talk about it.
And so I'm going to say, maybe my first provocative thing, if you are white, of course you have an opinion on race. And I don't know you. And I don't know your life experience. I don't know who you're...
Me neither.
In your life. I don't know where you've traveled. I don't know what you've read, right? And I can assume that you've gained your opinions from all of those things across your lifespan. And yet, if you have not devoted, sustained, ongoing, continual education and practice on this topic, your opinions are necessarily superficial and uninformed.
Why do you think she says that? Because if you only study and only learn and only view yourselves, then you don't know what the fuck is going on. You're only taking it from one point of view. And, that's dangerous. It's very, very, very dangerous. That's like saying I'm God.
Just going to say it. How can I say that, not knowing you? Because nothing in dominant society gives us the information we need to have a complex and nuanced understanding of this topic, coupled with our investment in it.
Hey, it's me again with Electrical Peter.
Skip. Skippity skip skip.
And because nothing in society gives anybody good information, you have to kind of know my reality as well as your own. But still, there's so much denial and so much like, no, if you have a problem around this, this is your problem. So this can be really useful for students of color too. All right, where are we? So we have to start with some shared definitions because these words, prejudice,
This is going in the community section.
discrimination, and racism get used interchangeably in our society, and right there we're talking at cross ends, right? So prejudice is prejudgment. We get it from everything. It goes well beyond whatever your parents may have taught you or told to you. We get it from every source. We get it across our lifespan, right? Everybody has prejudice about other groups of people to which they don't belong, right? It is not humanly possible not to have prejudice. Human objectivity does not exist. I don't care what your science professors might tell you. There is no human objectivity. You can only make sense of the world through the cultural framework you were conditioned to make sense of it through. Okay? And then
Unless you're blessed by the Lord to literally walk amongst all the cultures and you don't have your own, and so you're there looking and you get a broader view of things. It's the grace of being poor.
discrimination is when we act on our prejudice, and we all do it, right? I was taught that prejudice was hatred, and discrimination was violence and slurs and things like that, which is why I didn't relate to it. But it can be much more subtle than that, but it always manifests because the way you see the world drives the way you respond to the world. And it can be just lack of interest, comfort with segregation, right? There are many subtle ways, and I would just direct your attention to implicit bias. I'm really grateful that we now understand that most bias is actually not conscious, but there's no way we can miss absorbing these messages because we all kind of navigate the same water. A great example is next time you go into Target or Walmart, go through the toy aisles and tell me if there aren't any collectively sent gender messages out there, right? We're all, I can tell my daughter all kinds of things, but the collective socialization is very, very powerful. We're all getting it. Okay, but then when we get to oppression, we take a group's collective prejudice and we back it by legal authority and institutional control. And that transforms it. And it moves it beyond individual actors and into a system that is embedded in the fabric of a society because this group is built the society. So their prejudice is built into the fabric, right? So it gets embedded in all institutions and also cultural definitions of what's real, what's beautiful, what's valuable, what's normal, whose story is testified to, whose story is not, whose norms are others measured through, and of course will always fall short. Okay, so I want to give you two illustrations. This is like foundational. If we can't grasp the difference between personal prejudice and discrimination and systems of oppression, we're not going to understand how racism is able to flourish today. despite individual.
Meaning, if you never even looked at how it even happens, and if you don't look at the techniques, and if you don't look up the history and see the countless lives, see, that's what usually gets most people. When you actually start tallying the number up, and you're like, wow, holy fucking shit. I understand I'm not there, and I'm talking about from all when people really start tallying the numbers up about the Negro. Just search the web as much as you can for history, and you're gonna see the Negro being pummeled from one side of the world to the other, and then get over here and get pummeled by everybody and sent. It's just pummeling after pummeling after pummeling, and through all of it, invention after invention, save these people, start these things, and then run away. You gotta run again. You gotta run again, and then you start again, and you do all these great, and you gotta run again. You gotta run again, and you're leaving all this history behind, to where you don't even know. Your descendants grow and think they're fucking nothing. They don't even know half the shit around them they enjoy because of their people made it. They think everyone else did everything else because they were free.
People believing that they're against it. Okay, so I want to start with women's suffrage. So when did women get the right to vote in the U.S.? Does anybody know? 1920. Okay, who gave it to us? You can say it. I didn't just say. That's right. All right. Was there any other way outside of a violent and bloody revolution, which I'm not publicly advocating? Was there any other way for
Me neither.
women to get the right to vote except for men to give it to us? No. Why not? Because we literally were not seated in the seats of institutional power. We couldn't grant ourselves the right to vote. That's the difference, right? A woman could be prejudiced towards a man, discriminate against a man. I like to say a woman can make a man's life miserable. I've been accused of this at least twice in my life in 2015. But women as a group couldn't oppress men or deny them the right to vote. Okay? And if we don't acknowledge that difference, we just take power off the table. It's not all the same, right? A woman's prejudice against a man at that time is not the same. And keep in mind that it wasn't just the House and the Senate that, denied women the right to vote and that it was up to. Every institution worked together, right? So
If you'll do that to your own women, what will you do the monkey men? Do you get it? This is why your grandfathers used to kick us in the streets, and you think it was easy being black. It's not. It's easier now. It's easier now. But the system gets a hold of us. The brainwashing, the tactics, the drugs, the bullshit.